It tends to be more the rate of rise of the temperature rather than the peak of temperature. So the child who very quickly develops a temperature is more likely to have a convulsion.
My friend Anna, actually, her son has had, I think he's had about 17, and he had them through having a high temperature. He's been rushed to hospital, so it's really, really frightening.
Hello and welcome. This is a very special and hugely important new series on Channel Mum. There are no other video-based first aid courses out there for parents quite like this one. So together with St John Ambulance, we're covering the topics all parents want to know about. I'm joined by TV's Dr. Dawn Harper and mums Kate and Nilly. We know how important it is as a parent to feel confident and reassured that we would know what to do in a medical emergency involving our little ones. We really hope that by watching our videos that you go away better informed and more prepared for any emergencies that hopefully will never happen. This week we're going to be discussing seizures. It's something we know all parents worry about. So guys, do any of you have any experience of dealing with seizures?
Luckily I don't.
Personally, I don't either, thankfully, but my friend Anna, actually, her son has had, I think he's had about 17, and he had them through having a high temperature. He's been rushed to hospital, so it's really, really frightening.
Actually, temperature is probably one of the most common reasons why young kids will have convulsions. They're called febrile convulsions. And interestingly, actually, it tends to be more the rate of rise of the temperature rather than the peak of temperature. So the child who very quickly develops a temperature is more likely to have a convulsion. And the theory is that the electrical communications in the brain in a baby and a young child are not matured, and so a high fever or a very quickly developing fever will affect the functioning of that, and it's almost like overload and will cause a convulsion. Parents always worry that does that herald epilepsy? No, is the truth. Actually, febrile convulsions tend to occur in children between about 6 months and 6 years, and as their brain matures and they can cope with the fever, they tend to grow out of it.
So if you find yourself at home and this is happening in front of you, I mean, it's a massive shock, isn't it? Because it's something, I've never seen it before. So what do you do, Dawn? What's the first thing you do?
So obviously terrifying. The most important thing is to protect your baby. Okay, so they'll be limbs probably shaking and writhing around. You want to have them on the floor. You don't want them falling off of anything, and you want to clear things away. So if a child was to have a seizure here now, for example, the first thing I'd want to do is to make sure that we move this, because they could have a head injury, they could bash themselves, injure themselves. So you want to clear the area of anything that they could injure themselves on and make sure they're surrounded by soft things. And really, usually they're very short-lived. But a child who is still convulsing after 2 or 3 minutes, we say 5 minutes in an adult, but that's a long time. So a child who's still convulsing after a few minutes, you need to call emergency care. If this is the first episode, always you need to be seen by a doctor, and obviously the first is the most frightening. So you never restrain a child whilst they're actually convulsing. Once it's all over, you need to turn the child on their side into the recovery position, head down, to make sure that there's likely to be a bit of dribble and so on, and that needs to be able to come out, and you leave the child to recover. If it's the first episode, obviously, apart from the fact that as a parent it would be quite a frightening thing to go through, you do need to just seek medical advice. If this is something that's happened and you are confident with the way that you deal with things, and it's something that's happened before, then as long as this is following the pattern that happens to be your child, then that's fine to leave that and not to call the doctor at that stage.
Could this be something that your child has had one convulsion that they have again in the future? Are some children more sort of prone to them? Or?
Okay, so a child that has had one febrile convulsion is more likely to have another. The child that has a convulsion which is not associated with a fever needs investigating as to work out what's going on.
There's so many words in this topic. What's the difference between a seizure and a convulsion?
Nothing. Terminology. It's just different words that we use for the same thing. But actually, you are right. We often do that in medicine, and we shouldn't. It's the same thing.
Do we sort of do the same thing if it's a seizure in a child or a baby?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess the area that you need to clear is bigger, the bigger the child. But absolutely, the advice is the same.
Okay. We really hope this has been helpful. Who else looks after your little ones though that should watch this now? A grandparent, a partner? What about friends with little ones? Please share this video now to save a life. A massive thank you to St John Ambulance for helping us create these videos, and of course to Dr. Dawn and our lovely mums for being here today. Don't forget to check out the rest of the videos in this series. They're all on channelmum.com. We would love you to leave us a comment and join in with the conversation.